Welcome back, and as I said, we'll address a big issue, and this is a big issue. Rice. What's cooking with rice? A group of farmers came down from the northeast, I think, and they were protesting against a group of academics and students from NIDA, which is, by the way, a graduate school. So the NIDA guys, about 100 of them, actually sent a petition to the Constitution Court to stop the rice pledging scheme. Right? So the farmers, who are supposed to be the beneficiaries of this scheme, came down to protest against these academics. Now, what's going on here? What's cooking with rice? What's cooking with rice here?
Well, I think the intention of the rice pledging scheme is to intend to help the farmers, because the farmers are the one that are a lot in debt, and they are the backbone of this country. We produce about over 20 million tons of rice per year.
Thailand has been traditionally the largest exporter in the world of rice, correct?
We've been
the largest exporter of rice.
We've been
So there's a lot of
champion.
rice. People buy rice from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why, if people are buying rice from us and we are exporting all this rice, aren't the farmers rich? Why are the farmers not rich? Why do you need to actually help them? If people are buying this rice, if we are exporting this rice, why do we need to help? You mean people are not buying now, or there's too much rice? What are we trying to do here?
Adrian, I mean, if I can magically make all the farmers in Thailand be as rich as Mark Zuckerberg, I'll do it.
Well, of course.
But it hasn't been that way. I think because there's many things, many factors involved. From the fuel hike to the continued rise in raw materials. From fertilizer to everything else. I think the government intention is to help the farmers. To get the price at the competitive rate, but at the same time, help them to be back on their feet again.
It's called a rice pledging scheme,
Mm-hmm.
right? But how does it work? You actually, when you get your rice, you sell it, right? You sell it to the government, isn't it? The government is actually paying you a price.
Right. That's
Is
a set
this price above market value, or is this price at market value?
Let me do this. A lot of people have talked about this program, whether it's bad or good.
Mm-hmm.
The farmers from the Northeast did come down, obviously, because they think it's good for them.
Yep.
So that takes away one of the arguments, right? That says, well, these farmers are not getting what they deserve. Well, if the small-time farmers are not getting what they deserve, right? Believe me, they're the first ones who are not going to go out and plant rice. They're the ones who are going to come up to Bangkok and say, hey, stop this. We are getting what we deserve.
No, okay. I've seen all these protests. I mean, in a democracy,
Adrian,
it's
look,
very healthy. But you can buy protesters.
I think you have to understand the pledging scheme first. One, the word is wrong, right? The government has actually called it wrong because it's not pledging, right? Because the government will buy the rice from the farmers outright. So it has nothing to do with pledging. Pledging means you pledge something, you hope that you get your money. This one, the government will actually just give you money, right? At a guarantee rate, which currently people are saying is above the market price.
So all you have to do, farm rice, you take the rice to the government.
One,
government pays you.
we're asking people to farm rice because if we didn't guarantee them a certain income, then they won't farm the rice. And if they don't farm the rice, that's actually a bigger disaster, right? What the government is actually doing is subsidizing. So basically they're telling the farmers, look, we're going to subsidize you for what it costs you to be on the farm, to not come to Bangkok, work in a factory, to live in a farm, do this. We are going to go ahead and guarantee you a certain amount of money. The amount of money right now people are looking at is somewhere between 10 to 20 billion US. Let me do the math for you on why this actually makes sense. The government is basically saying, look, we're going to give you $10 billion, okay? We're going to go ahead and just buy your rice. So, Jeroborn, go ahead and make your rice. I will guarantee that 10 billion of taxpayers' money is going to be guaranteed to you for you to go and make sure that we eat. The rice is then all sent up to silos, right? These silos then keep the rice. Hopefully what they wait for is the time when the price of the rice in the open market goes up.
So Thailand is stockpiling.
No, wait a minute.
Right?
Let's imagine that there's a 40% loss. So they had to get rid of all the rice because the silo cost is too expensive. So they pay 10 billion for the rice. They end up selling it on the world market for 6 billion. Let's imagine that first. Ooh, the Thai government just lost $4 billion. No, they didn't. Right? Where does this $4 billion actually go? It does go back into the economy because these rice farmers will take this money, they'll spend it on motorcycles, they'll spend it on food, they'll spend it on their kids. The money doesn't actually leave Thailand. It just circulates here. Okay, it doesn't go to a foreign partner. It doesn't go anywhere else. Basically, it goes back to the farm. This is what governments do. This is what the U.S. government does. This is what the British government does. This is what the French government does. The only thing that's wrong with the rice pledging scheme, horrible explanation of what it is. One, change the darn name. Call it what it is. Explain to people this is an economic stimulus.
The scheme for helping farmers.
Call it that.
We
right?
guarantee that you have somebody to buy your rice.
Exactly. And now, by the way, just to be clear, I think we might actually end up being a little surprised here because checking this morning with my friends around the world,
the price of rice has gone up?
The price of rice is actually going up because of why? The harvest this year is actually going to look pretty bad in South America. It's going to look pretty bad in the U.S. So as the harvest of their rice deteriorates, our price will go up. And also, by the way, if you believe that Thailand is the kitchen to the world, if you don't keep these farmers farming and they all end up working at a Toyota plant in Lam Chabang, what happens when the world does need to eat?
But you know, you talked about poverty, and what I know is that the farmers who are farming on these lands, they used to own those lands now, you know. They actually did sell those lands to someone else because they needed money.
Yeah.
And in return, the new owner hires them to work on the farm, okay? So the new owner is the one who is actually taking this rice and selling it to the government. It doesn't go directly to the farmer.
No, let me do this. Let's imagine I'm the owner of the company, okay? And I get $100, right? You're the manager of the company, okay? How much money are you going to get from me?
Well, definitely not 100.
Exactly. You probably get, what, $10, right? She's your employee. How much is she going to get?
Less than me.
She's going to get $1. Guys, it's called economics. This is what happens. The case that's being put out is these poor farmers aren't getting money. No, I agree. They're not getting my money, but they're getting the money that flows down. You can't expect, so you're saying if you're pledging $500 a ton for rice, right, or whatever, a pound or whatever it is, right, that means a farmer should get $500.
No,
well, that's failed logic.
Yeah.
The government has done a bad job of PRing this policy. What they should basically said is, one, if we don't do this, who's going to farm? Two, how are we going to eat? Three, how can I ever build an economy that's going to be, Thailand is based on the food economy. We survive because we feed the world. We got to keep our rice people farming. And at the end of the day, like I said, let's imagine they spend $10 billion. They sell it for $6 billion. Where does the $4 billion go?
Well, I think that the critics have some good points about
Well, the critic
about trying
included
to.
the chairman of the Central Bank of Thailand.
Well,
right?
I think he was concerned that the scheme will be prone to corruptions and I think what the government needs to do, like Kun Tom said, that give explanation what they're doing, and this is the impact is going to the farmers and
some of the suggestions were very good, like limit the number of rice for a farming community. I mean, for a farmer, you can only do this much because they were saying it's being exploited.
And I go back, right? This is a great idea. That should be executed
imperfectly.
Well, if it's executed well, right, could end up being this government's 30 baht policy, right? The 30 baht healthcare policy of the first Thaksin administration. Good, bad, or indifference, people remember the Thaksin one for the 30 baht healthcare, right?
Well, I think the taxpayers want to get their money worth.
Well, they can, but you got to explain it to them.
Yeah.
You have to explain. People used to say, why should I be paying? Why should my tax money be going to pay, for some poor guy's health care? Well, you guys, this is why we live in Thailand. We are a community. We help each other out. I think Kun Yingluck is sitting on a gold mine here. If she's able to, one, explain it correctly, that this money actually helps everyone because it keeps people eating, working, feeding, whatever. Two, and I agree with you both completely, this thing, if it was transparent to the T, would be a huge winner, right? And it has to be transparent. What the chairman of the bank said, or what a lot of critics are saying, I don't agree with the critics who say this is a bad scheme because it's not.
I don't
agree
think
with
anyone has said this is a bad scheme.
They do say that. They say this is a
the
total waste of
details
money.
of it. The details of it.
No. The Democrats and other people have come out and said this is a total waste of taxpayers' money. It's not.
They've done it before.
The Democrat has a similar kind of scheme.
What is bad, and this is what I just don't understand. You know where you're going to get hit, right? This is where you can actually just come out and say, look, this is what it is. Here's how we're going to do it. Get a third party to audit you. And if you can do that, I think this rice pledging scheme can be this government's 30-baht healthcare policy.
Stockpiling rice is not that bad, given the storms, floods, rice plantations could be wiped out. There may not be enough rice. So, luckily we have some stockpile,
But again,
right?
stop calling it rice pledging.
Yeah.
It is a fund to
help poor farmers.
No, you know what I call it? It's a fund to make sure that Tom gets to eat rice funding. Because if they're not farming, I'm not eating rice.
Okay.
How about this? I got a name for it. Kun Ying Lak, may I give you one? The Fund to Feed the World. How's that? That's free.
Thailand Food Fund.
Yeah,
Thailand
Thailand's Fund to Feed the World. Michael Jackson would come
They
back
have a
from
song.
the-
Thailand Rice Fund.
Okay, all right. We're out of time, so we'll end right now. Very interesting to have Tom and Kuntirapan with us today. And you can always follow up with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/thetopics. We want to hear from you, your input, your feedback, your criticisms, or even your praises. All right. Thank you very much. So see you next time.
Don't believe what they tell you. They try to sell you. When dreams died, plans fell through. They can never break your pride. It's time to regulate.